The Boys. In this world, superheroes aren't symbols of hope, they're commodities. Marketed, monetized, and manipulated by the mega corporation Vought International, supes are less concerned with saving lives and more focused on brand deals, social media presence, and maintaining their carefully crafted images. But behind the glossy posters and patriotic speeches lies a brutal truth. Most of them are corrupt, unstable, and terrifyingly powerful. The most feared of them all is Homelander, a walking nuclear weapon with a god complex worshipped by millions and restrained by no one. But not everyone is willing to look the other way. A ragtag group known only as the Boys has taken it upon themselves to expose the truth and take Supes down by any means necessary. Led by the ruthless and broken Billy Butcher, they operate in the shadows, doing what governments and corporations won't. It's a world where there are no true heroes, only people trying to survive the lies and maybe, in the process, burn the whole rotten system to the ground. After years of watching Supes abuse their power and leave destruction in their wake, Billy Butcher is done playing by the rules. He's lost too much: his wife, his sense of control, even parts of himself. All at the hands of Vought and their golden boy, Homelander. But now he's found a real shot at revenge: Soldier Boy, the violent and unstable supe from the 80s who was once America's original superhero. Thought to be dead, Soldier Boy was instead imprisoned by the Russians, and after decades of torture and betrayal by his own team, he's returned with a deadly new power and a list of names he once erased. Butcher sees in Soldier Boy more than just a weapon. He sees an equal. Someone fueled by hate and pain. Someone capable of killing the one person Butcher's been obsessed with for years: Homelander. With time running out and nothing left to lose, Butcher takes a dose of temporary Compound V, giving himself superhuman strength, and convinces Huey to do the same. Huey, desperate to feel useful and powerful for once in his life, agrees. It's a dangerous move, not just physically, but morally, and it marks a turning point for them both. Their chance comes during one of the most grotesque and absurd spectacles in the world of the Boys: Herogasm. What looks like a secret, depraved party for supes becomes the perfect battleground. Hidden from the public eye, surrounded by chaos, and with most of the Seven distracted or absent, Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy confront Homelander for the very first time. What follows is a clash of titans, raw, unfiltered power exploding in every direction as the trio nearly does the impossible: take down the most powerful man on the planet. Homelander escapes, wounded and shaken, but only barely. For the first time, he's afraid. But what if he hadn't gotten away? What if that final blast from Soldier Boy had hit its mark? What if Homelander had died at Herogasm? Killed not by a villain, but by the very people he dismissed as weak? That single moment would change everything. The balance of power, the fate of the Seven, the future of Vought, and the lives of every character in The Boys. After an intense and emotional fight, Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy manage to pin Homelander down and hold long enough for Soldier Boy to deliver the final blow. The blast tore through the building like a wrecking ball made of fire and rage. Walls buckled, furniture vaporized, and bodies, both supe and civilian, were thrown like rag dolls. When the dust finally settled, there was a moment of eerie silence. Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy lay scattered among the wreckage, bruised, bloodied, and barely conscious. The room, once pulsing with music and sin, now sat in complete ruin. Smoke curled from the scorched walls, lights flickered, and in the center of it all, Homelander's body lay still, face down, lifeless, half buried beneath rubble. No slow motion recovery, no last second miracle, just gone. Soldier Boy sat up first, coughing, his chest heaving from the exertion. A cut above his brow bled freely down his face, but he didn't wipe it. His eyes locked on Homelander's body, and for a long moment he didn't speak. Butchard staggered to his feet next, using a broken piece of wall as support. His face was pale, his knuckles white as he stared at the corpse of the man who has haunted him throughout his entire last 5 years. Huey emerged from the far corner, limping, his shirt torn and blood-stained. He looked around, dazed, as if still trying to convince himself this wasn't a hallucination brought on by the Compound V. The three of them just stood in silence, surrounded by what they'd done. No cheering, no celebration, just the sound of distant sirens growing louder, and the unsettling quiet of a power vacuum forming. Soldier Boy muttered something under his breath. Maybe a curse, maybe a prayer, but even he didn't look satisfied. Butcher didn't speak. He just stared at Homelander's broken body, jaw tight as if he'd been waiting for this moment so long he'd forgotten what to do when it finally arrived. And Huey? He looked scared. Not of what was coming, but of what they'd become. They'd done the impossible. They killed the man everyone said couldn't be stopped. But as the smoke began to clear and the sirens grew closer, the weight of that act began to settle in. This wasn't just a win, it was a world-shifting event. The Soup Messiah was dead. Vought would be in chaos. The world would demand answers. And somewhere in the wreckage, each of them began to realize that while the mission was over, none of them were prepared for what came next. The three of them ran out of the building and into the woods. The last thing they wanted to do is have to answer questions about their murder of the most powerful and arguably influential man on the planet. Outside of the mansion stood Starlight and MM and the Deep. They were all in silence after the explosion. MM and Starlight, immediately concerned about Huey and Butcher, ran inside and found the unthinkable. Homelander's lifeless body on the floor, and the three perpetrators nowhere to be found. Now, in the original story, after Homelander actually escapes, Starlight makes a crucial video where she exposes the corruption and abuse of Vought and Homelander. But in this version, she's too shocked to even speak. As police sirens grow closer, Starlight instructs MM to get out of there, and he agrees. Starlight and the Deep meet the police at the front of the destroyed mansion, no one grasping the full extent of what has happened. Dozens of Soups are dead. A-Train is being rushed to the hospital after killing Blue Hawk, and a god among men is lying dead beneath the rubble. After just a day, news has spread of what happened, and the country begins to mourn Homelander. Without the event of Starlight's video, there is no civil war amongst people of Starlight versus Homelander. Only a minute portion of people actually know what happened, who know that Soldier Boy was responsible for the death of Homelander. The rest of the population legitimately believes a supervillain, which obviously Homelander spoke a lot about, is to blame. Vought is scrambling, and the CEO, who is Ashley, is drowning. She's managed to keep herself occupied by organizing Homelander's funeral, but the future of the company is looming over her. Shareholders are selling instantly, and superhero cities are fearful of if their soups can actually protect them. I mean, if Homelander can be killed, then how can anyone feel confident about the other objectively weaker soups being able to protect them? All these other cities are canceling their contracts with the Vault. It's just not going well. Homelander's funeral is broadcasted across the world. Thousands of people are in attendance and millions watch at home. People are scared and in tears. On stage, Homelander's casket stand Ashley, along with Maeve, the Deep, Starlight, Black Noir, and A-Train, who made a surprise appearance after recovering from his heart attack and getting Blue Hawk's heart. The crowd was a sea of mourning, flags at half-mast, children clutching Homelander dolls, grown men and women sobbing like they'd lost a family member. The world had never imagined a day without him. To the public, he wasn't just a superhero, he was safety, strength, invincibility. His image had been carefully sculpted by Vought into something mythic. And now that image lay cold in a flag-draped casket, surrounded by the Supes who once feared him, loved him, or secretly hated him. Ashley, barely holding it together, gave a trembling eulogy, full of corporate-approved platitudes. Maeve stood rigid, unreadable. The Deep clung to his moment in the spotlight like it was the only thing keeping him standing. Starlight kept her eyes low, and A-Train, fresh from heart surgery and trying to look the part of grieving teammate, said nothing, but his presence alone sent a ripple through the crowd. After some time, MM, Frenchie, and Kamiko tracked down Huey and Butcher. They were hiding at an old safe house Butcher knew of. The two of them were oddly calm and still processing what happened a week ago. Butcher had let himself go. He has no motivation to continue in the world. Now he's not upset, he's happy, but he doesn't even really care anymore. He has been celebrating and drowning himself in drugs and alcohol. He hasn't even thought about his next move. Huey is delighted as Frenchie, and Kamiko walk in. After confronting them and understanding what happened, asks where Soldier Boy has gone. Huey informs him that Soldier Boy left shortly after what happened, and they don't know where he is. is still committed to taking down Soldier Boy as he was responsible for his father's death. Butcher and Huey don't care about Soldier Boy and don't have much desire to help Huey is much different after what happened, and the feeling of being a part of the killing of the most powerful man ever has gone to Huey's head. asks about Ryan, assuming that Butcher's promise to take care of him would still be important. Now, Butcher did think about Ryan and called his name out. Out of nowhere, Ryan came out of a back room. Butcher actually had Grace Mallory bring him just a day ago. Now, Ryan knew that his dad was dead, but was unaware that Butcher was to blame. Butcher's plan was to fulfill his promise to Becca and raise Ryan into an empathetic and kind person. decides to take Frenchie and Kamiko and go find and kill Soldier Boy. Huey is torn on whether or not to tag along, but ultimately decides to, as he's sick of just sitting around like Butcher is. Huey is able to convince Starlight to help as well by convincing her that Soldier Boy is still a threat. Meanwhile, speaking of which, the Seven is fragmented and on the verge of ending. The Deep tries to insert himself as the acting leader, but no one really listens to him. Without Stan Edgar and without Homelander, there's really no leadership at Vought. The company is on a fast track to losing everything. Now, during the chaos at Vought, the Deep confides to Black Noir that Soldier Boy was there at the mansion, and the Deep suspects him as the killer. Black Noir, who already hates Soldier Boy due to their past, is extremely motivated to kill him, but knows he can't do it himself. Maeve is nearly quitting and has stopped showing up altogether. A-Train is trying to keep something together, as he knows without his position in Vought, he has nothing. Now, the story takes a big shift when a Supe from the party identifies Butcher, Huey, and Soldier Boy as being present at the party. Vought instantly releases their names and pictures all over the news. They say that Butcher and Huey stole an experimental drug and assisted Soldier Boy, who is now, according to them, a brainwashed Russian agent, into killing Homelander. There is now a nationwide manhunt for the three of them. Butcher and Ryan moved into a home with Mallory and some other qualified CIA agents. Things were going well until Ryan found himself in front of the TV one day and learned the truth about the death of his dad. His face goes from shocked to confused to angry. He doesn't understand why Homelander needed to die and has lost all trust in Butcher. Now, I would expect it to be an amazing scene. Ryan confronts Butcher and gives him just a small taste of his power. Butcher, pleading and tearing up, starts divulging everything that Homelander did to Becca and himself. Ryan is too confused, there's too many thoughts running around in his head, and he runs out of the house. He doesn't know what to believe. but his dad had already mentioned Soldier Boy and him being a villain. Ryan has made up his mind and is now on the hunt for Soldier Boy. Black Noir hears the news of Soldier Boy, and after understanding that he was responsible for the death of Homelander, who Noir considered a friend, he has made up his mind. He's going to do whatever it takes to hunt down and kill Soldier Boy. Butcher is on his own mission to find Soldier Boy and is hoping that there he will find Ryan and can try to explain what happened. Now, remember, Ryan is mad at Butcher for the death of Homelander, but mainly blames Soldier Boy because Homelander already said Soldier Boy's bad. Black Noir also doesn't like Soldier Boy because of their past and because he also didn't want Homelander dead. Now Butcher just wants to find Ryan, so now Butcher also wants to find Soldier Boy so he can go talk to Ryan. Now Ryan has gone to Vought and has handed himself over. He always felt comfortable there and trusted the other members of the Seven. He and Noir decide to actually team up in their journey to find Soldier Boy, as they both have mutual feelings for what happened to Homelander. Now, Queen Maeve and A-Train are hesitant on what their next move will be, but both are not really in any hurry to find Soldier Boy, as they both really wanted Homelander dead and are not overly fearful of Soldier Boy's next move. They spend much more time together and choose to stay out of a lot of the conflict. Now, at this point, the entire world wants to find Soldier Boy, so where is he? Well, after Homelander's death, Soldier Boy vanished from the public eye. No press, no arrests, no sightings. Freed from his mission of vengeance, he wandered through a world that barely remembered him, a living relic with no war left to fight. Without Butcher or Huey to anchor him, he drifted, crashing in cheap motels, drinking himself numb, occasionally picking bar fights just to feel something. The quiet was unbearable. Now, he managed to slip by, growing a long beard, changing his hair, and wearing a disguise sometimes. For decades, though, all he'd known was rage, betrayal, and the drive to settle scores. Now, with those scores settled, he was a soldier without a war, a weapon with no target, and that scared him more than any soup ever had. Now, none of the parties I mentioned earlier have been able to find Soldier Boy until a reported sighting of him is released. Butcher, Black Noir, and Ryan, and the boys, which at this point is Starlight, Huey, MM, Frenchie, and Kamiko, all pounce on the report. Each of them have their own plan on what to do when they see Soldier Boy. So basically, they all receive this same piece of anonymous information from an unknown source who says that they know where Soldier Boy is. Now, once each group goes to this location and attempts to carry out their plan, they find themselves in the abandoned mansion of the Collective, which, if you guys remember, was that weird cult in the show that the Deep was a part of. Now, each group shows up at almost the same moment, as they all got the tip at the same moment, and immediately get in arguments with each other until Soldier Boy walks out. Ryan's eyes glow as all the other present soups get into an attacking position. Butcher has taken another dose of Temp V, and so has Huey, although secretly from the rest of the group. Huey asks Soldier Boy what he's doing there, to which Soldier Boy replies that he was told there was free cocaine here. Well, that's weird. It sounds like Soldier Boy was also lured here. Everyone is confused until a familiar face walks out. Victoria Newman. Newman has successfully lured them all there and plans to kill them. She has that head-popping ability and wants to take out all the loose ends before she makes her political moves. You know, before she was kind of controlled by Homelander on what her next move would be, but now without him there, she just plans to get rid of anyone who really knows what happened and achieve success. Everyone else there is frozen, knowing that at any moment they may lose their heads. After much back and forth between Newman and everyone there, Newman decides that there's been enough talking and her eyes light up as she prepares to make her first kill. But just then, the Deep bursts in and behind stand dozens of Vought soldiers and even worse, dozens of the other soups. Now, I figure these other soups could be some we've met before, but also some new random ones. It would also give a good chance to show off some other cool powers, I think. The Deep informs them that he has been instructed to bring back everyone in the room into Vought's custody, dead or alive. Back at Vought Tower, A-Train and Maeve learn a terrifying truth after interrogating Ashley on what Vought plans is with sending the Deep after them. Vought plans to create a new Homelander, one even stronger. They want to use Soldier Boy's DNA again, like they did before, and create another god-like soup. Maeve and A-Train know they can't let that happen, and they need to end this right now. They head to the location, the same tip, they know that of the mansion, and after they arrive, all the characters and parties are set at a standstill. Maeve speaks up and says what Vought's plan is. The Deep calls her a traitor and says that she is now a target. Remember, the Deep has at least 20 or so Vought soldiers behind him, and I would say about 15 or so soups. The fight begins as the Deep throws the first punch at Maeve. I won't go into too much detail about the fight, but I think we can all use our best imagination on what it would look like. I'm picturing an unbelievably violent and epic clash as the boys, Butcher, Ryan, Black Noir, Maeve, and A-Train fight the Deep and his team. The fight would be massive and destructive, as soldiers are instantly killed and impressive displays of powers are shown. Soldier Boy and Newman have no teams and are both fending for themselves during the fight. Throughout the chaos, Ryan spots Soldier Boy and goes after him. Butcher and Black Noir follow. The three of them get in an amazing fight, and it would be symbolic of the fight that started all of this, which ended with the death of Homelander. During this epic fight, Soldier Boy actually kills Black Noir in a very sad ending to his story. Butcher and Ryan try to win, but Soldier Boy is just too strong. They're about to lose until Huey and Starlight arrive, and together the four of them wail on Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy knows he's losing and is taking massive damage. Remember, at the same time as this, there's a massive brawl going on in the other rooms. Maeve, A-Train, MM, Frenchie, and Kimiko are still fighting the Deep and his crew. Newman is fending for herself as she scrambles to pop the head of several soldiers and some random soups coming to attack her. Back in the Soldier Boy fight, he becomes desperate and gives a last-ditch effort and lets out a powerful, anti-superpowered nuclear blast. The blast is threatening to kill everyone there. But the boys had a plan for this though, and Huey sprung into action. He teleported Soldier Boy, remember that's his power when he's on the Temp V. He teleported Soldier Boy into a pre-made, planned, strong metal cell where there was just enough room for him and Soldier Boy to stand. After teleporting themselves there, Huey instantly teleports himself out. Soldier Boy is unable to stop the blast and blows up, and while the cell is destroyed, the majority of the blast is redirected back at him and ultimately kills him. Huey, after a minute, teleports to the cell and comes back with Soldier Boy's body. He is dead. Now, the fight outside of this room is intense and exhausting. Kimiko, A-Train, and Maeve are doing the heavy lifting as they carve through Deep's army. Throughout it, A-Train finds himself in a 1v1 with the Deep, where he ultimately kills him after a bloody fight. The remaining soldiers and soups have all either been killed or run away. Now, back with Soldier Boy's body, everyone is catching their breath. Ryan is exhausted and confused. Butcher takes the moment to try and explain himself, which was his goal all along. He gives a monologue about all the bad he's done in his life and how much he loved Becca and how he had no choice with Homelander. With some support from Huey and Starlight, Ryan accepts Butcher for who he is and what he has done and forgives him. Everything is peaceful until Victoria Newman enters the room. Without hesitation, she looks at Butcher and her eyes glow. Huey tries to push Butcher out of Newman's line of sight. Newman doesn't get a clear hit, but is still able to severely injure Butcher and pops some of his neck. He's bleeding out. Ryan's eyes glow, and he makes a move towards Newman. Her eyes glow too as she tries to pop his head. Everyone watches as Ryan falls to his knees, grabbing his head and screaming. He's in immense pain, but to everyone's shock, Newman is not powerful enough to pop his head. She keeps trying, and blood starts coming out of Ryan's nose, eyes, and ears. He painfully screams, and it turns into a rageful scream, and his eyes glow the brightest red ever seen. A laser blast, larger than any one Homelander has ever produced, comes out of Ryan's eyes, eviscerating Newman and instantly killing her. After coming back, Butcher gives his last words to Ryan: "Don't be a cunt." Butcher then dies from blood loss. In the aftermath, the remaining heroes help expose all of Vought's wrongdoing and force Ashley to take charge and change the company and all the soups in it. Frenchie and Kimiko go off and enjoy their lives. MM, finally rid of his soup obsession, finds peace and happiness with his daughter. Maeve and A-Train become co-leaders of the Seven and vow to be the good that the world always thought they were. Huey and Starlight adopt Ryan and give him a good home, raising him to be the best man he could be and teaching about his powers and his immense strength. Butcher is buried next to Becca, where he finally can rest in peace after years of turmoil. The end. Alright, thank you so much for watching this video, guys, especially if you've made it all the way to this portion of the video, so you watched the whole thing. Thank you so much. Leave a comment on what you thought of the story, and if you think it would have gone a different way if Homelander died at that moment, or if you thought that the way I described it would be pretty accurate. Thank you so much to the people who commented on my last What If video, the Breaking Bad one. Your guys' words and comments, it really means more than you know. I promise it does. So all the people that commented, all the people that just liked the video, all the people that just watched the video, thank you so much. It really keeps me going, because these videos really do take really do take a long time to make. So let me know if you want to see more. I definitely, still had fun making it, and I definitely want to write more. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.